Welcome to the lesson 3. Let's understand SQL data types. As you know, SQL is a database that stores data in the form of tables having rows and columns. So where does data type comes into the picture? In SQL world, when we create a table, we have to define a data type for every column of that SQL table. So data type is the definition of a column within a table. So if you can see in front of your screen, we have a sales table with 4 columns and 10 rows. So the columns are sales ID, customer name, sale value, and sale date. If you notice, sale ID has numbers, customer name has string values, sale value has numbers, and sale date has a date value. So in terms of SQL world, if we create this table, we have to first define the definition of this table. To define the definition, we have to create a data type for each column while creating this table in the SQL. So when we are defining the definition, we will define this table in SQL as sale ID, number format, customer name, string, sale value number, sale date, date format. So let's look at the syntax of SQL data type. So if you can see in front of your screen, this is how we will create a table and all its underlying columns within SQL. As you can see, each column is assigned a data type that tells what type of data this column will have. So if you can see at the right side of your screen, every column is being assigned a SQL data type. So sales ID is assigned integer, customer name will have a varchar, that means it will hold string values, sale value will have a decimal, and sale date will have a date type data. So this is how we define SQL data types within SQL. SQL data types are grouped into different categories. So let's see what all type of categories we have for SQL data types. So for string data types, the most important data types we have are char. So char means a fixed length character string. We can define the size of the char so that we don't allow users to specify characters beyond our length. So the next one is the varchar. So varchar is like a variable character string. So here the size can grow more. The third one is the nvarchar. So in the nvarchar we can also store Unicode characters or special characters. The fourth one is the blob. So blob is just a binary large objects. So you can store bytes of data in this data type. So let's understand what are the numeric data types available. So the first one is int. It's an integer where you can store numeric data. It has a limit that's in front of you, minus 2147 to plus 2147. So if you think like your integer variables will exceed this limit, you can use the next data type called big int. So big int can store more numbers and have a bigger size than int. So the third one is a bit. So in the bit you can only save 0, 1 or null. So that's basically used when you have a scenario called like you want to know whether a particular row is true or false, something like that, like a flag you want to add to each row specifying some condition, and based on the condition it will show like true or false. True means 1, false means 0. The fourth data type is the float. Float is used to specify the values in terms of decimals. floating point decimals, and the fifth we have is a decimal. So here we can specify the size and the number of decimal places, that's called D. So these are the most important and the mostly used numeric data types. Let's understand what are the data types available for date. So for date, the first one is the date. If you specify a date as a data type, you can store a date in the format year, month, and date. But if you want to show the time with the date, then you have to specify date time. The third one is the date time 2. So the difference between date time and the date time 2 is that date time 2 will allow you to store the time in nanoseconds. The fourth one is the timestamp. So timestamp is also similar to the date time, but the only difference is like it stores the time in number of seconds. And the last one is the time. So in the time, it will only allow you to store the time instead of the date in the column. So these are all the most important and mostly used data types available, but we do have a lot more that are available in SQL. So in the next chapter, we will understand the different operations we can perform within SQL. Thank you.